Today, I want to talk about traveling and fitness and how they can coincide together. Fitness is really one of those types of things where it's not always about going to the gym, or even working out at home, doing your push-ups and sit-ups. And no, fitness is just you as a human being, just being active. And one of the things that we have to understand is that when you're doing fitness and travel, that's one of the best things you can do because it helps you on the mental end, but also it helps you on the physical end. Because if you're traveling and you're going to different places and, states or countries, you do a lot of walking. And with doing that, you put mileage on, like your steps in and things of that nature. So fitness is not just about going into the gym. So one of the things I wanted to say and talk about when it comes to those types of things is I want to be able to travel and, do these types of things where I can eat, of course, eat healthy. I don't want to go crazy like that. I don't want to be like some of these videos out here, people are traveling and they're eating a lot of crazy foods. Now, I'm not a crazy food eater. I'm a pretty basic person, but if I want to travel to San Diego, I've been watching some videos like that these days, and traveling to San Diego for me seems like a pretty cool thing because it's now it's sunny, it's a little cool right now here in New York City, but I know in San Diego it has some really good weather out there. And one of the things I like to do is travel, walk around, see the sights, and then taste some good food. And one of the things I like to eat is like salmon, some sort of fish, chicken. I try to keep things pretty basic. I don't want to step outside of my eating comfort zone, which, listen, nothing wrong with that if that's what you like to do. Not me. So if you're over 40 and you're a man, one of the best things to do for your psyche and to do for especially your mind, your mindset, and also for your body, is travel, because that's also a part of fitness too. And I like traveling and I want to do that. And like I said, going to San Diego, for me, I know there's a lot of walkable places, a lot of restaurants and things to test out and eat. There's different ways to cook salmon, guys. You could do it at home as well, but sometimes doing it in a different city, a different environment, maybe with, different people around, sometimes can, help, give you a better relaxation of your mind. Look at and explore different ideas, and also making sure that you are even-minded, not even-minded, but just making sure that you're balanced in the things that you're doing in life. Yeah, I kind of got lost for words there. So yeah, men over 40, listen, guys, travel. It's one of the best things you can do, not only for your health, but also, for your mentals as well. Health in terms of your body, mentals in terms of your mind. One of the places I like to go, like I said, San Diego, Palm Springs. Nobody really talks about Palm Springs, but once again, it's a nice little place where you can go. It's probably hot now because of the seasons, but traveling there maybe during the winter time. So if you're getting sick of the cold, and there are a lot of restaurants and shops there that you can go to so you can eat. Also, there are a lot of trails and hiking trails you can go to, where you can still, once again, include your fitness, when it comes to the physical part. But I don't know, man. It's just something about walking on a trail and you're thinking and walking and climbing, not necessarily climbing like you rock climbing or climbing up a mountain. No, but walking up hills and stuff. That is great cardio, and some of the most fit people out here, as far as men, are the ones who are staying very active in life. So, and don't you think if you are trying to get fit and you're over 40 as a man, going to the gym gets boring after a while? I don't know. Leave it down in the comments. To me, working out at home or working out at a gym, to me, it can get very boring, very monotonous. You want to do something different. They say if you want something different, you got to do something different, right? And I think that's one of the things you can do. So for me, I like to go to a place like a Palm Springs where you could walk around, go on some trails. I don't know. I guess as I got over 40, one of the things that I loved doing was learning about history. So that's another thing I wanted to do. So I know it's a lot of history that's there in Palm Springs as well. Another place I like to travel to, like I said, San Diego. Another place where you can go walk around. You're probably more by the coast. So if you like the beach, go to the beach. You can eat, like I said, eat some of the food, some of the healthy foods. If you just stick with your vegetables and fruits, you'll be fine. I know people like to get up in the morning and do like the typical morning routine, right? You get up in the morning, you probably have some coffee, you eat some breakfast, some scrambled eggs, sausage, some sort of meat, some bread, and and you see it as a balanced diet. Well, when I travel, I'm going to do something very different. When I wake up, I'm going to find me a smoothie or drink a smoothie, or some sort of fruit juice. When I wake up in the morning, and by the time I hit to the afternoon portion of my day when traveling, I'm probably going to want to hit it with, some real food, like, a meal, like a steak or because I like to get my full meal in the afternoon for sure. I think that's the best time. At night, it just depends on what your schedule is when you're traveling, but I like to do stuff like that. But yeah, in the mornings, get me a fruit juice. Afternoon, get me a nice meal, not too big, but that's where you could try out your food. I'm not trying out foods like that for early mornings, like what they call breakfast, because breakfast is what it is. Break your fast. So for me, the word breakfast, people look at differently. They just think it's something that you just do early in the morning before you get up and get about your day. I look at it as breaking your fast. So these are like good tips to, like help you when you're traveling, so you don't feel like you're overloading yourself on food. So like San Diego's a good place I like to go. The Grand Canyon, you ever thought about that? Like Grand Canyon, I mean, that's a great place to go. I don't think people really think about going there. I mean, I know you got to take a flight, probably drive a couple of hours depending on what part of the Grand Canyon, but that's another place I want to go. And there's a lot of food and eateries there. Of course, big time hiking trails, things of that nature where you can walk, where you don't really need equipment, but it's a good workout. So sometimes traveling to different destinations can also be used as a fitness platform, especially for men who are over 40. Use that. Use it as a way to get fit. Use it as a way to balance your mind out and stay peaceful within your mind. Because I don't know about you guys, when you walk, you tend to think more. Whatever it is that's been on your mind, you actually get a full thought and you think it out. And you either scrap it or you come up with an idea. And that's one of the things I've always liked to do. That's why I'm doing this now. I'm walking and talking to you guys because I'm just getting my thoughts out and letting you guys know that, there are different things you can do. You don't have to get up and run the rat race every day. You could do content like this and have it where you can live off of that. I mean, that's up to you. I'm not saying you have to do it, but, find a way where you can create that extra money. Or if you're already making that extra money, go and travel. Check out a few sights and sounds. So that's why I like going to the Grand Canyon. You have like a Gatlinburg, Tennessee. Beautiful place out there. These are places I haven't been yet, but trust me, it's on my travel list. And when I travel, I'm going to maintain eating right. I'm still going to taste the foods, but I'm not going to get anything that's going to be crazy over the top, and I'm going to make sure I get my juices in. I'm going to make sure and I know people might look at that as, I go on vacation, I can take a break from eating right. Well, like I said, if you're over 40, there are no breaks. Yeah, I don't think you can take a break, man. Eating the good foods or eating good foods is a lifestyle. It's not a job. It's not a 9 to 5. It's not a deadline to that. It's something you do for your life. So when traveling, I'm going to drink the fruit juices in the morning to wake me up, give me some energy, right? So I can get going and do all my stuff, right? And then by afternoon, I should be pretty hungry, right? And this is a schedule that I'm going to keep. And maybe you can, copy this and do this if you ever travel. And let me know down in the comments if you actually follow this type of plan. And so in the mornings, I'll get up, make some, drink some juice. Yeah, I said make some food. Drink some juice. Something nice and hearty. Maybe put a little bit of oatmeal in it. To kind of hold me. And then by the afternoon, after I've done whatever activity from the afternoon from the morning to the afternoon, I can basically go and get something like real to eat. And that's a good thing I like to do as well. And in the afternoon, you kind of sit and relax, but once again, if you're traveling, you're constantly moving because you want to see the sights and sounds. So I think one of the best things to do when you're moving and traveling is to walk right after you eat. So you can walk off those calories. You can walk off all this other stuff that you don't put in your belly for the afternoon because you're probably going to be really hungry. And then after you finish that and you walk it off, go on to your next activities from the afternoon to evening, right? You try to either get some good nourishing food, basically once again, always keep it balanced. Have your protein, have your vegetables, and then make sure you have something set aside for some fruits, So basically my whole point is when you're traveling, always keep these three things in mind: hydration, protein, and carbs. I think those are like the best things to have when you are traveling. It's a great list to have. And that's the things that I like to do. So for me, I don't want you guys to travel and just start eating bad food and then turn around and act like, you got to start all over when you get home. The exercise aspects to it is go walking on the trail, go to places where it has trails, go to places where it has places where you can hike up trails and, get a chance to, see different types of rocks and, sands and stuff. Like Palm Springs is one of those places I like to go where, it's a desert, and I know may not be the whole flashy thing in the desert, but you'd be surprised how beautiful the desert is. It's super beautiful. So that's all I wanted to kind of say, guys. I'm going to be talking more about this. And yes, I am a personal trainer. And I am a personal trainer online. So if you're ever interested in looking for some fundamental movement, basic things, just to get you started, just to get you off, hit me up. There's a 3-month program on up, and I pretty much cater it to your needs and the things that you need to have when it comes to exercising, so you can get out here and travel and do these things that I'm talking about. Other than that, leave the comments below if you found any interest, and I thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Later.